everyone. Welcome to another episode of Keeping Up the Conversation. I am your host, Miss Tori. You know what? Before I say who my co-host is, I have to say that KUTC Live is presented by Black Eye Magazine, and that's our super duper co-host, Big Ken.
What's up? What's up, everybody?
What's up? Before we came on, I was telling you I was hot,
hmm
and I remember two things. One, of course, is no, I remember three things. One is because all these lights. Two, because I'm wearing a sweater, and three, because I'm drinking some hot tea.
Yeah,
So, yeah,
yeah,
all that right there is
yeah.
is that's why. That's
That'll
why I'm
do it. That'll
hot.
definitely do it. Yeah.
Yeah, so with that note, we always start the top of the hour with our hot topics. Yeah, so hot topic. So Amazon shuts down a Connecticut construction site after seven apparent nooses were found. Now, Amazon, they temporarily shut down the construction of a new fulfillment center in Connecticut after the discovery of seven nooses were found on the site. Police in Windsor say the nooses were found placed around the construction site around April 27th. The police department said it's investigating as a potential hate crime along with the FBI Civil Rights Division. The company will temporarily shut down the site at least until Monday, and until more safety precautions can be put in place. Amazon Representative Brad Griggs said during a press conference on the site that Amazon and its development partners are offering a $100,000 reward to anyone who can assist in identifying any perpetrator. What you know about
Mm.
that, Ken?
Yeah, that's wild. I mean, in today's climate, I'm not surprised because it's not the first time. But that's wild that something like that could happen in a place like that and like
Yeah,
absolutely nobody see it. So I'm pretty sure somebody saw it. It's some type of footage. There seems to be cameras everywhere,
yeah.
all over the place. So they got to know. They got to have some information on who possibly did this. But
But
whether
you know
we'll
what?
actually find out or
But
not, I don't know.
I read a little bit more about this story, and one of the things that I found out was to me, like they say, when you know about this stuff, sometimes it's an inside job
Mhm.
because the person that placed these things, these nooses strategically around the construction site, did it where they could get around the cameras. So that's why I'm thinking that somebody was it an inside job? um whatever the case may be. Okay, but you know what, before we move on, here's the thing. If it was an inside job, and then that means this person can say, if someone knows, they could probably tell that person they can get that $100,000. So hopefully, if it was an inside job, that person remains quiet and didn't tell anybody else, because you know what, I'm turning you in. I'm getting my $100,000.
Well, see, I always think of rewards as trickery, because when you turn somebody in or when you report something, I'm pretty sure they're gonna vet whoever turned in that information to make sure that they weren't a part of, what I'm saying, the actual
Yeah,
crime itself. Because
yeah,
people have been doing that for forever. So
for years. Yeah,
perpetrate the crime and then turn and then say, "Hey, I know who did it."
yeah.
And they were part of it. So, that will make a little bit more sense because $100,000 is a lot of money.
Yeah, that's a lot of money. And you know what? I think that sometimes crooks and criminals, they just cannot keep their mouth closed. So I think that whoever did this is going to talk, and somebody's going to get $100,000. So, yeah. Anyway, Mike Tyson. I am a big fan of Mike Tyson. Big, good, bad, or indifferent. I'm a fan of Mike Tyson. Now, his Mike Tyson, the Knockout, aired yesterday, and some say the documentary doesn't live up to its title, but the ABC documentary wins on points. Now, Mike Tyson, the Knockout, initially feels like it's simply retracing the same old steps, charting the boxer's epic rise, fall, and attempted comeback. After the first few rounds or through this two-part ABC documentary, it lands some pretty compelling blows, particularly in highlighting the difference 25 years made in terms of Mike Tyson's third act, following his rape conviction. Now, the opening proves considerably less distinctive, beginning with a 1988 championship bout against Michael Spinks. Flashing back to Tyson's his rough upbringing before channeling that into boxing under the tutelage of trainer Cus D'Amato. But anyway, as is, the knockout proves to be kind of it's interesting, but I didn't get to watch it, and I know that it's going to air. It airs the next day, so it'll air. The first episode will air tonight on Hulu, and then the second episode airs on June 1st. At 8 p.m. Eastern Time on ABC, and then, of course, again later on Hulu. Now, another thing about the knockout is that it's interesting in portraying the media's role in building Tyson up and then tearing him down, from the Barbara Walters interview with him, with his then wife Robin Givens, to the frenzy that surrounded his rape trial after he was accused of assaulting pageant contestant Desiree Washington. Now, I don't know, Big Ken. What are your thoughts? I know that I know I'm a media girl, and it's nothing against my fellow journalists, but I do feel like at times the media did put Tyson up on this pedestal, but they also were the same people who tore him down when he was already down. So I don't know. Have you had did you get a chance to watch Knockout? Probably not, because I remember you saying that you haven't watched
Yeah,
TV in a while.
actually, I haven't had a chance to watch TV in 2 weeks, so I did get a chance to check it out. But what you're talking about as far as the media is pretty regular. I mean, that's how I technically see it. The
Hmm.
media, they have a job to do, and they're gonna tell the story that gets the viewers. So if you're doing great, they're gonna report that. But if you're doing bad, they're going to report that as well with the same type of energy, because it's going to garner the same attention. So, and
Yeah,
and people want to know, what's going on in the life of these celebrities, whether it be good, bad, or indifferent. So,
yeah,
you know,
exactly. Yeah,
whatever feeds the ratings, that's what they do.
yeah.
So, I mean, I don't expect anything else.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Now this story very interesting because it's unique. Now, parents were okay. So they were angered because photos of the female students were altered to mask the cleavage. Now you can see on this picture right here. If you look on one side, the girl, you can kind of see her cleavage, and on the other side, it looks like it's sort of masked a little bit. Now they were flipping through the yearbook, and normally yearbooks you just kind of flip and you see what's going on inside of them. But as they were flipping through it, they started noticing that all the females, if anyone had cleavage, it was being masked. Now, the person you see on this picture, her name is Riley O'Keefe, and she is a Barton Trail High School freshman. When she saw her yearbook photo, she noticed a black bar was added to cover more of her breast, and she said, "I couldn't believe that they printed the yearbook looking like that." And she said she tried to flip it through the yearbook and saw more and more girls with their chests edited. So she texted her mother, and a photo of it from the school in St. John, Florida, and she said, I know she's worn the outfit before in school hundreds of times because it's like her go-to outfit. And so on Monday, she believes that the outfit had met the district dress code. The dress code states that girls' tops must cover the entire shoulder, and they must be modest and not revealing or distracting. There were 80 photos of female students that were altered in the yearbook. Now, the high school's website has a disclaimer saying that if a student's portrait in the yearbook did not match the district student dress code of conduct, they may be digitally adjusted. The year the yearbook coordinator made the decision to edit the photos based on her assessment that the females were not in dress code. Now,
Hmm.
that there's cleavage, and then there's cleavage. And they didn't show a lot of the other photos.
Yeah.
However, come on. That's just,
I don't.
I don't know.
I,
What are
I.
your thoughts?
I mean, I don't know here. See, here's the thing for me. For me, looking at the picture and what they did, the edit that they did is not bad. It's not a bad thing to me.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So I mean, the whole cleavage thing, and then the fact that she's a freshman and we're complaining about cleavage on a picture, that just seems like you should have other stuff to worry about in school other than your cleavage on a picture. But I
Yeah.
can't lie to you. I'm gonna flash this back up again because this edit is terrible. If
It's a
this is the
horrible.
actual edit that went from this picture on the left to the picture on the right, like that's terrible. So I mean,
Yeah.
I would be upset if if the edit looked that bad too. But as far as the
Yeah.
covering up the cleavage, I don't have an issue with that. I have a daughter as well, so I mean, if she wanted to wear something like that, I don't think I would be with that. But
Yeah.
if the young lady decides to dress like that and it doesn't meet the criteria or whatever the school feels, and they did put the disclaimer out there, I feel like they're well within their rights to do so. So
Well, yeah, and they did. So, all right. You know what time it is?
it's time for Big Ken's fun facts.
Let's.
Y'all know every week I bring you something fun to think about, to make you say, I didn't even know that, right? So I dig and I dig and I dig. I run across all kinds of stuff and think of creative ways that I can deliver it to you. But this week, I went back to our childhood stories. Many of us grew up hearing these fables and these stories, and like of giants and people doing these extravagant things. And you're like, are these stories really real or are they fake? Well, I found one that was real. Okay.
Mm,
John Chapman, better known as Johnny Appleseed, was an
I've
American
heard of that.
pioneer nurseryman who introduced apple trees to a part of the United States, Pennsylvania, Ontario, Ohio, Indiana, and Illinois, and part of West Virginia, was known as West Virginia now. He became an American legend while he was still alive for planting apple seeds and growing trees. But get this. Here's the twist to it. All this time, we're thinking about just the planting of the apples, right? Innocent, you plant apples, people eat the apples, treat for the kids, and things, and so on and so forth. Well, people go back and examine the stories because this was a real person that actually existed, right? So this is the image that we have of Johnny Appleseed, but this is really Johnny Appleseed. This is the real
Really?
guy. This is John Chapman, and they went and did some research. Our author Michael Pollan went and did research, and he went and found out, I guess, facts about how you grow the trees. And one thing about it is it's a certain process that you have to go through with the apple tree to make sure that the apples come out sweet and the colors right and things of that nature. Well, if Johnny Appleseed was going out around these areas just planting these trees, he had no time to go back and take care of them properly, right? So that would mean that the apple would come out bitter. And you know what bitter apples are used to make? Apple cider, hard apple cider.
Ah,
So,
yeah.
so the theory is that everybody was so happy to see Johnny Appleseed, not because he was bringing apples, but because he was bringing hard apple cider, which at that time was outlawed in a lot of places to be able to produce alcohol. But they figured out a way to do it with Johnny Apple trees, with Johnny's apple seeds, apple trees. So that's why everybody was so happy, not because of the apples, because
Oh,
of the
he's
hard apple
yeah,
cider.
he's getting the
So
town all drunk.
yeah, so maybe
Shoot.
they need to change his name to Johnny Hard Apple Cider.
Yeah, you know what? Right here on the show, KUTC Live, Johnny Hard Apple Cider. There you go.
Johnny Hard Apple Cider.
Wow,
So,
and that's crazy. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
and you know what? I was thinking about this. In today's time, with marijuana being so big, wouldn't it be crazy if somebody would create a story, Johnny Apple Weed or
Oh
Johnny
my goodness.
Marijuana? You know what I'm
That's
saying?
some.
Can you
That's you know
imagine
what? You've been hanging
somebody
around me
going
too much.
around
That
like
sounds like something I want to
planting
say.
marijuana seeds all over the place and these marijuana bushes just popping up everywhere? That would be
Oh,
crazy.
well, you know what? We should do that. We should do that.
No, I'm not doing anything.
I
Listen,
we don't
the
look.
government,
We
if you're
no.
listening, if you're seeing this, I didn't say that. Corey did. I will have no part of that.
We can go down the road, plant seeds, but we don't look back. We don't look
No.
back. We just
Mm-mm.
walk forward. And you know what? We're making the people behind us happy.
I
That's and
don't.
that's what we're talking about happiness today, aren't we?
Yes, yes, and I'm not
Okay.
gonna be happy in jail, so I'm gonna
We're
recuse
not gonna
myself from
be in
any of that.
jail. We're
Thank
not.
you.
Come on.
Thank you.
Let's do this.
Unless
Okay,
it's in
you
California, I'll have no part of it.
so here's the thing real quick. So Johnny Appleseed, we were reading these books when we were little. So we were literally they were teaching us indirectly how to get drunk.
I mean, there was a lot of stories and there were a lot of cartoons and things of that nature that when we look back at them now and the symbolism that they used in the cartoons and the wording and things of that nature and the inferences that they made in these cartoons, when you look at them as an adult, you're like, whoa, no wonder we were jacked up
Yeah.
as kids and we were
Yeah.
thinking we had this warped sense of thinking on a lot of stuff because we were being influenced by things that we didn't even know that were there. So, hey,
There you go.
part of
Thank you.
life.
Yep. So thank you so much, Big Ken, for your fun facts. As always, we enjoy those every week. Now,
Thank you.
now today, as I mentioned a second ago, we're talking about happiness. One of the things that I wanted to ask you. I know I posed this question on Facebook, but and I'm asking you this, Big Ken. Do you think having a cell phone or being on social media plays a role in your happiness or your unhappiness?
Yes, ma'am. I
You
think
do?
I tell people that all the time. Like, if you're not careful, social media and your cell phone and the access that your cell phone grants you is a great thing, and it's also something that could be detrimental to you as well. So,
Mm.
because people don't understand that the things that you read and you see on social media on a daily basis influence your life.
Oh
So
yeah.
if your timeline is full of a bunch of negative material, a bunch of negative people, that's going to bleed over into your life and you don't even realize it or know it until it's too late most of the time. So I really
Yeah.
believe that it
Yeah.
does.
I do believe that definitely social media now cell phone is a little bit different because I feel that 99.9% of the people that have my cell phone number are happy people. However, I do feel that social media can play a role in a lot of in a lot of things. For example, um well, first of all, I don't scroll all the way down social media. So a lot of times, Big Ken, I'll see your stuff, that's happy stuff. So I don't scroll all the way down social media because I know there's nothing about but negativity. I always see women talking about bad mouthing men. And I don't want to see that. That's just, something that I want to see, but I don't want to see. So I don't really do a whole lot of scrolling. But I say that to say that I do believe that social media plays a role in your happiness. It plays a role in your day to day happiness, and so. But with that said, our guest today says that social media has been shown to significantly increase unhappiness, so he doesn't even use it. And he gave his cell phone away many years ago to increase his happiness. He is a leading expert on happiness and lifestyle, and his latest book, Happiness Power: How to Unleash Your Power and Live a More Joyful Life, provides expertise on the benefits of happiness and how to improve one's own happiness using the most recent academic revelations. Welcome to the show, Edmund McCormick.
Toby and Ken. It's good to be with you.
Hey there. It is great to
Hey,
have you, and we want to learn about happiness, Ed, because man, the world right now needs it, and those that don't spread it, Edmund, I'm gonna need you to show them how to do it.
You were speaking about your cell phone. I walked into the doctor's office one day, and all 8 people waiting there were fixed on their cell phone. Didn't even notice me coming in. I could have robbed something and walked away, and no one would be able to identify me.
But
I I thought, well, gee, that was the straw that broke the camel's back, and
wow.
that day.
And that's true. I remember seeing a picture of a friend of mine. She showed a picture of her at her house for her birthday party, and she panned around the room, and everyone was on their cell phone.
Isn't
And
that
so,
something?
and that's yeah. When you start thinking about it like that, it makes you be like, man, put your cell phones away. but
I remember when we used to be aware of what's going on around us. But anyway, I fixed that. And when I did this book on happiness power, one of the things I found shocking was that according to a study last year, 66% of we Americans check their phones 160 times a day.
oh
Wow.
my God.
160. So they took a survey of 500 men and women about their cell phone usage, and 45% said they would rather give up sex for their cell phone.
Oh my God. Okay, Big Ken. Now I need you to elaborate for Edmund. Would you give up sex for your cell phone?
No, that cell phone going in the garbage. Sorry.
That's a good
Sorry.
decision.
First off, you know what I want to ask you, Edmund. Now you write under the pseudonym Robert Gill. Why is that?
Someone gave me some wise advice a number of years ago. They said that when you publish something, it might not be very good. So don't use your name.
Okay. I mean, you know what? That makes sense. That makes a lot of sense now. So I want to ask you. Apparently, just from reading about you have no qualms about talking about your age. So why would someone that's 80 years old, 80-year-old businessman want to write a book about happiness?
That's a great question. And let me tell you that in 1941, I was born in Cook County Hospital. So I am a Chicagoan by birth.
Mm-hmm.
And a year and a half ago, I was reading the newspaper saying the World Happiness Report for 2020 was saying that the Americans have been the unhappiest in 22 years.
Wow.
And that's what I said. I said, wow, isn't that unbelievable? I wonder how that could be. So my profession, I do a great deal of research, and I've written a lot for the research. And I said, let me look into what this happiness problem is. And that's what started me on it. I gathered together all of the academic studies on happiness and put them together and discovered something very interesting, that it's more than happiness. Happiness gives us an extreme amount of powers that we're probably not aware of. The happier person is the one that gets the promotion, not the other way around.
Right.
The happier person has lower blood pressure, has less feelings on pain, is healthier, more energetic. I can go on to, I listed 50 of them in the book, but I don't want to bore you with all of them, But one of the parts of the book is, well, then if it gives me so much power, how do I become happy?
Mm-hmm.
And there's a lot of studies on that as well, from Aristotle all the way up to studies at universities and so on. But there is a surprise to how to obtain happiness.
Yeah,
And
but
that's
so before you say that, I know that you said that you did research, and after you got the numbers for the 2020 unhappiness. But when you were doing your research, was there anything that stuck out that said why people are so unhappy?
Sure. There's a number of reasons, and that is the growing dependence on technology.
Wow.
One of the things is what Facebook is doing to people. When you're seeking a like on Facebook, something physically happens to your brain. You get a momentary touch of oxytocin, which is the hormone that creates happiness in our body. And you physically get that. So you are becoming more and more dependent upon that. And those that have low self-esteem, which are usually younger people who are gaining self-esteem, the lower the self-esteem, the more unhappy you are if those likes are not coming your way. Those are
That's that just I guess when Big Ken and I talk a lot about being happy, and that he and I are normally as host and co-host on the show, and in our lives, with our spouses, we're just happy. So it makes me wonder, like, how can social media, alike or not alike, make you so unhappy you
That's
know
because you are confident, you are mature, you don't allow that to happen to you. Whereas those who are not developed well uh, mentally because of their youth, they really are affected negatively uh, about those likes and so on. And as I said, the we were talking earlier, the cell phone also creates a lot of unhappiness.
Mhm.
Uh, and by the way, we are losing our ability to talk.
Yeah.
The recent studies show that now uh, most people are texting rather than talking on the phone. And
You know what?
a
And let me comment on that for a second, because you're absolutely right. And let me tell you this. I text a lot on the phone because I'm not around people. One day I went to dinner with my cousin, and we were talking so much so that my throat started hurting. I'm so used to texting that I wasn't used to having that long conversation, and my throat started hurting. But Edmund, you're right. We text so we text so much that we lose that connection when it comes to actually having a conversation with someone, and then we lose our voice.
Yes,
You
personal
know?
conversations add to
Yeah.
the happiness. It
Yeah.
brings the warmth on, whereas a text is just so mechanical. it's I'm just wondering 30 years from now if we're going to lose our ability to really talk and remember our vocabulary.
Yeah, I've noticed a difference because of, like he was saying, the cell phone. One thing that's been different about the cell phone, excuse me, is the fact that we used to remember numbers, like someone's cell phone number, or somebody's house phone or something like that. Like, we had all these numbers stored in our head. Now, if you ask somebody what someone's cell phone number is or what somebody's house phone number is, they're probably not going to be able to tell you,
Right.
because we've gotten out of that loop of remembering numbers like that. So that's one
Yeah.
effect too.
That's right,
Oh,
Ken. I
yeah.
have the advantage. See, I grew up in a house with a wall phone, so I knew how. And if you wanted to call somebody, uh, you dialed it. And
Yeah.
of course, if somebody called you during the night, you never heard it because it was downstairs. Uh,
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
but now we're
Edmund.
into a time where half the, again, according to the study, 65.7%, I have it right here, sleep with their phones.
That is, you know what? I must say that is true, because sometimes in the middle of the night I will reach over and I will get my phone, and it's not even that I expect that if I send someone respond to an email, that I expect a response at 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning. It's just the fact of knowing that I completed a task and I don't have to do it the next day. When I could have waited anyway, because that person's not going to respond. So you're right. People should sleep with their cell phones. I'm guilty.
Well, I think
I
most
yeah,
are.
I
I think most are. So we have to admit the following now. If that's the case, then cell phones are an addiction, right?
Yes.
They are
yes. Oh yeah.
here. 75.4% consider themselves addicted to their phones, according to that study. So
I
that's
mean,
three quarters of
yeah.
our population feel addicted. 87% feel uneasy about leaving their phone at home.
Now, when you were doing your research, and I know I'm sure it talks about groups, and it talks about categorizing people who are happy, who are unhappy. In your research, did you find out, or did you uh, categorize a group that is the least happy, is the most, or yeah, least
Yeah,
happy?
yeah. Are you an optimist or a pessimist?
I'm very optimistic.
Well, there you go. It's the optimists that are the happiest. It's the
There you go.
pessimists who are not. But the great thing is, one can learn to be optimistic. It takes a little time, but it's a little effort. I showed in the book the studies that showed how to gain a more optimistic attitude. The glass is half full rather than half empty.
Can you give us a point like what how do you, how can someone get a better attitude, a attitude of happiness? How do you change that? Like can
Well,
pessimistic go to optimistic?
I know this sounds silly, but it works, and that is self-talking about if you have a problem, you talk about a minute or so to yourself. I can solve this. I can solve this. This
Yeah.
will be solvable, and you continue to do that. It becomes habitual, and eventually uh, that pessimism changes to optimism. I'm not saying that it works 100%, but it
Yeah.
works with many people. And so we're turning
I
the
can yeah, I yeah, I can see that.
yeah. So
I
uh,
I can definitely see that.
happiness does not depend upon what we have. It depends upon what we feel about what we have.
That's
Mhm.
right.
You know,
Yeah.
there's a Sufi, which is an ancient a religious sect, uh, a story that really wraps up what happiness is. There is a beggar walking down the road. He ran into another person walking the other way, and the beggar held up this ripped, torn, stained bag, and he said, "I have all my worldly possessions in this miserable, putrid bag." And the man looked at you. "I'm sorry to hear that." And as the beggar turned the other way, the man ripped the bag out of his hand and ran up the road. And the beggar dropped to his knees in tears, losing this bag. But eventually he got up and walked down the road. And what the man had done is he took that bag and went around a curve in the road and put it in the center of the road. And the beggar came up, and there he saw his bag in the center of the road, and he dropped down and screamed with joy about finding his bag and feeling so happy. And the man who stole the bag said, "Well, that's how to make an old man happy. It was the same bag before, and it's the same bag after. It's just the attitude
Wow.
about the
The
bag."
added oh, yeah.
And that's
That
what
that makes
happiness
yeah.
is. It's the
That
attitude. And
yeah.
that's why you can turn from pessimistic to optimistic by learning how to move your attitude as to how to look at things. You know,
It's
if you're happy, you have more motivation. If you're happy, you
right.
have more productivity and more
Mhm.
energy.
Right. Now the other thing is that just from the story that you said, that happiness plays a very, very important part in someone's life. It just depends on what happiness, what type that joy brings that person happiness. I think that I'm always getting into the science of it. So, what has science found that actually makes people happy?
It's found that money doesn't make people happy. They've done a number of studies about money and happiness, and we all have heard those. Money doesn't
Yeah,
buy happiness, right? But
yeah, every day.
yeah, but there's an exception to that. There was a big academic study that had done about 4 or 5 years ago that found that up to $75,000, after which you're no longer any happier. So
Really?
the,
Let me
now
try
maybe
that.
for inflation we have to adjust that as of today, but it shows that money, in essence, is important for necessities for food, clothing, and shelter. But once you satisfy those in your transportation, after that, it doesn't make you any more happy.
That's true. So with that said, do you think that happiness um, plays is beneficial to our health? They're always saying that when you're sick or something's going on, just be happy. It'll make you feel better. But do you really think that when you look at the at health, do you think that happiness is happiness a benefit for health?
Well, there have been more than 50 studies on just that question, and they have shown positively that a happy person has lower blood pressure, has less sickness, or if they do get sick, they recover much quicker. They are have able to endure pain easier than those that are unhappy, and
Wow, that's
it,
crazy. That's, I mean,
and
because
they have better cardiovascular health. They have a greater immune system. They have lower inflammation levels, and they have a better feeling of fulfillment and well-being and joy throughout the day. That in turn provides people around them a feeling of happiness and feeling good. So it radiates out.
But how happy, and I know, Edmund, this is going to sound like a crazy question, but how happy do you have to be? I feel like, all this happiness. I mean, I'm happy. I'm a genuinely happy, go lucky person. But talking to you, I feel like I have to walk around here with this big old smile on my face every day, all the time. But
No,
it,
no, no,
you
no, no.
know,
Happiness is not doesn't once you obtain it, you're going to maintain it. It doesn't. It goes up and down. But as long as you recognize that there are times when you're not going to be so happy, or you're going to be even sad, and there. But as long as you know what leads you to a better emotion, that's really what happiness is about. Happiness is the feeling of
but
well-being, and everything in
right.
life,
Okay.
from the amoeba to the elephant, is looking to be happy. They just don't know what the word is, but we're looking to go from not feeling so good to feeling better. Amoeba is getting away from the heat, and the elephant is looking for grass to eat. Right, that makes them
Right.
happy.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So I get it. That makes sense. So, I just think that, if people knew, w- like me, I'm happy about life. So that's my happiness. That's my peace. But I think that if people knew what happiness does to their everyday lives, uh, maybe there would be more joy in the world. So what do you think is the biggest benefit of just being happy?
Success. By being happy, you will find you will be more successful in the things that you do. Uh, those that show happiness, they are promoted more. They get the better jobs. They earn a greater amount of money.
Mhm.
Um, they uh, gain better social circles. Uh,
Right. I agree.
and,
I definitely agree with the social circles. Yeah, happiness. People want to be around someone that's happy. You
The
know. s-
interesting thing is that happy people, now we could talk about Toby for a minute, happy people see the world differently than unhappy people. So you are looking at it through
Yeah.
different eyes, as unhappy people are looking at the same thing, but they're seeing things differently.
Hmm.
And that's what the studies have shown.
Now, Now you've lived a very long life, so happiness changes. As your life changes. But today, what is it that makes you happy?
The feeling of purpose. Once you can recognize your own feeling of purpose, you have almost won the happiness battle.
Okay. Now, so before we let you go, I want to know if you can give, of course, me and Big Ken, and definitely our viewers, a few tips on how we can unleash the power of happiness and live the more joyful life as your book kind of instructs us to do.
Yeah, I would be happy to. Uh, and this is surprise about happiness. You're not going to find happiness by seeking it. Happiness comes indirectly in your life. It comes through being grateful. Being grateful encourages altruistic behavior. Uh, it comes from giving of yourself, not necessarily money, but volunteering or doing things
Right.
for others.
Right.
Uh, and as you're
Right.
doing that, you're gaining this mental feeling of well-being, and that's making you happy. If you're actually going for the purpose of trying to make yourself happy, there's a wonderful story about that, but it's long, so I'm not going to tell you that. That that you, if you go out and do these things about looking out for yourself, taking care of yourself, being grateful for the things around you, for people around you, for who, for your family, for your friends, and for the gains that you make in life. If you're grateful for that, that adds to your happiness, and everyone can do that. You just have
Mhm.
to recognize that you have to show gratitude. You have to show charity. You have to be involved with friends and family. That's very important for happiness,
Mhm.
is to have a group of friends and to build your friends and so on. And just doing those simple things will gain you happiness.
So I kind of want to make sure I have it. So uh it's basically giving, and it's also maybe gratitude and looking out for yourself, and surrounding yourself with family
But
and friends.
yeah, with family and friends, that's extremely important in the happiness route. So
Awesome. What
I think if you find that, and you're
I
on
think
your
we
way.
found, yeah. Yeah.
And remember that happiness is not permanent. It goes up and down. Uh, but if you're giving and you're volunteering and you're thankful for what you have, it
Hmm.
comes to you. It returns to you.
Oh yeah, for sure.
I agree.
Yeah, I totally agree. I want to thank you so much, Edmund, for being on our show, and just spreading your much needed happiness from soul to soul. I think that, I know we talked and I wanted you on the show because, just because of the happiness factor. And I think that, to me and everyone else, being happy right now is important. Learning how to get from that one uh, pessimistic mood to the optimistic mood, and then having the power of happiness, that's really important. And I think that, having you on the show today is just like the journey that a lot of people need. We do have a lot of people that watch our show, and they talk about being happy and being unhappy and always being mad or in a bad mood. And I want to thank you so much for stopping by.
Well, it was my pleasure. I certainly enjoyed talking to you and Ken.
No, no
Thank you.
problem. Yeah, to learn more about happiness power, visit robertgilljr.com. Thank you again so much, Edmund, for being on the show.
Great. Take care of yourself. Bye bye.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. I think that, a lot of people always have just a difficult trying to find what happiness is. I mean, I've asked people, or people have said sometime, or I've told people, I was like, man, you need to be happy. Why? What is that? Why do I need to be happy? What's the point? For health and prosperity, and just to feel good in your soul,
I
you
think it
know?
has all those benefits, but like for me, um, I'll be honest and say my circumstances permit me to be happy.
That's
But I
true.
think a lot of people's happiness is circumstantial, and if they have circumstances that permit them from being happy, uh, large amount of the time, or they have stressful lifestyle or stressful job, stressful family and friends, like the outside factors, what I'm saying, can affect these people in a way that they don't even understand how to be happy anymore.
It's funny you should say that, because I look at people that have the stressful jobs, or the stressful relationships. And to me, I do believe that's part of happiness, but I also believe that some of that is part of just a mood. If you're at work and you don't like being around some of the people at work, or you come home and you're in a bad mood. That's, to me, that's just, that's a mood. But I do know that also it affects your happiness, and you want to be happy, and in order to do that, a lot of times you got to remove yourself from the situation so that your mood will change, and so will your happiness. And yeah,
Yep.
I totally,
And
yeah.
that's the hard part, though,
Yeah.
removing yourself from a situation, because some situations are easy to remove yourself from and some are not so easy.
Yeah. You know
So,
what? Yeah, you're right. You're
it just
absolutely
depends,
right.
if you're having an issue with, the guys at the gym that you play basketball with, it's easy to fix that, go to
Yeah.
another gym or stop going. But
Yeah.
if you got an issue with your spouse or your girlfriend or your boyfriend at
Yeah.
home or your kids at home,
Mhm.
that's a lot
That's
harder to get
that's
away
that's hard.
from.
Yeah, you're right. And then you also think about people who are unhappy at their jobs, and they want to quit, but they can't. And so my thing is that,
Because they
and I
gotta
know,
eat.
yeah, exactly, because they got to eat it. And my thing is that, can you find a way to be happy about that job, or be happy in that space until you find another space? It's just like Edmund said, you have to like talk to yourself for a minute or so and say, I can do this. I
It's
can do this.
self pep
Yeah,
talk. You know what I'm saying? Pep
exactly.
talk for yourself. Like that, like they say, tune into your star player. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
Self-esteem is esteem of yourself. So can't
Yeah.
nobody raise or lower but you, and you can allow people to affect you in a way that'll lower
Yeah.
your self-esteem, which in turn will affect your happiness.
Yeah,
But you control
exactly.
that.
Yep,
So
you do.
yep.
Exactly. You are 100% correct. So, happiness show. We are happy. If you are in a bad mood right now, or if you are pessimistic, we hope that today's show lifted your spirits up. But, anything else, me and Big Ken, we can lift your spirits up just by being who we are.
Yeah. We
See?
got great smiles. You know what
Yeah,
I'm
great.
saying? We got
Yeah,
great
yeah.
attitudes,
Nice
and
spirits. Yeah.
yeah, we generally in a happy mood. Now, I'm gonna tell y'all, the attitudes and the laughter that you see on the TV show every week, on the show every week, that's us.
That's
That's
us
us
all the
off the
time.
air. That's us
Yeah.
off the air. So this is
Happy.
not just for the show.
Happiness. Yeah.
Like, this is who we are, and that's why, bringing somebody on, a happiness expert like
Yes.
like Mr. McCormick is,
Mhm.
a great thing to give you some guidelines to kind of help you, because I'm telling you, I think the pandemic probably was the saddest time was the saddest time in a lot of people's lives,
Yeah.
because they were locked in, and like Tori was saying earlier, trying to get away from the issues that stress you out, when some people were locked in the house with the issues
Yeah.
that's stressing them out.
Exactly.
So, the pandemic was rough for some people. So, hopefully that the world is opening back up now. Things are kind of getting back to a new norm.
Mhm.
Maybe more people would be happier. You know what I'm saying, and
Yeah.
be able to get out and enjoy themselves and change the trajectory of their lives
Mhm.
by, being able to change the happiness.
Yeah. And just to kind of piggyback on what you said, getting out, one of the things that I learned, and also you will hear a lot of our guests say, and Big Ken, you could probably agree with me, that sometimes just getting outside and going for a short walk, a long walk, is something about being outside, and the sun beating down on your face, or just walking, the sights and the sounds of being outside can really change your mood to get on that path to happiness. And so sometimes, if you could just find that moment to just step away, and like Edmund said, and just be grateful for whatever it is, just be grateful, because not every day you don't have to be here, but you are. And
Yeah.
so every day, find a reason to be grateful, and that purpose. So
I think that's the biggest
yeah,
thing for me,
yeah.
honestly, is the fact that I'm grateful for every day I wake up. So,
Oh yeah.
that's why people ask me, at work, you're always so happy. We want to know what you know. We want to, do what you do. How do you remain so happy? And I'm like, even when times are not so happy for me, I remain upbeat because I'm optimistic and because
Yeah.
I'm grateful for
Yeah.
every opportunity that I have to, to
Mhm.
do anything, to
Yeah.
experience life as a whole. So that's why, I'm one of those people who projects positive energy all the time because that's just who I am.
Yeah. And I think that having that positive energy does kind of change the mood for someone who is not in such a great mood, because you have that positive energy and it kind of makes them feel better. One day I was at the studio, and and I was just, laughing. I was laughing at myself because I did something with the camera and I messed it all up. And I was laughing at myself.
Sounds about
And,
right.
and so someone came up to me and said, I was hoping that you would, and I just told this story, and they were like, I was hoping you were going to be here today because I knew if you were here, you're going to make me smile. And just that person saying that made me smile too. I was like, sometimes you don't know whose day you're going to brighten up, it's whose day you're going to make. It's going to be okay. I'm gonna get
Was
through
it a
today,
guy?
and it's going to be,
Was
yeah.
it was a guy?
Yes, it was a guy.
Oh yeah, that man, just erase that one.
No, no, I brought him joy and sunshine.
I bet. Yeah. No, but
Oh my
really
god,
happiness is infectious, and
it is,
you can
yeah.
tell when people who are, happy all the time, or who are in a great mood all the time, are missing
Yeah,
from work or
yeah,
missing from a family function or something like that. So for
yeah,
me, I pride myself in being that guy because I know people, when I come to places, they know, okay, Ken's gonna come in with some jokes, he's gonna come in with some great
yeah,
energy. So
yeah.
I know even if I don't feel up to it, like I have to elevate myself to that because that's the expectation from them and that's the expectation from
Oh,
myself to
yeah.
be happy.
Yeah, and they know that they know that to be you.
Mhm.
So they know, oh, okay, Big Ken's here, so joy in the house. When we're talking about cell phones, and I said 99% of the people on my cell phone, they're cool people. It's that 1%. And that person will call me, and I literally will look at the phone and I'll be like, hell no, nope, my mood is
Yep.
good right now. Cause
They
when
call
you,
and you dance to the
yeah,
ringtone. You just
yeah,
dance
it's
and
like,
look at it.
oh
Like,
yeah,
yeah, I ain't gonna
okay.
answer it, but I'm gonna
Oh,
dance to the
yeah,
ringtone.
the music's over. Okay, yeah, because I know from experience, I know that if I pick up the phone, that person is not going to have anything good to say, and they're calling me to talk negative, and I'm not about to do that right now. And a lot of times I'll pick up the call from that person when I'm about to go to sleep, so I'm about to go to sleep, or like, oh, you know what, girl, let me let you go because I'm about to lay down. And so I know that I won't have to talk to that person that long. But that's the group of that 1%.
Looks like that
So
person might be going on a block list soon. Block.
because it's like, let me tell you how I know that, when she calls, it's a girl. So when she calls, I know it's about to be something crazy because I'll be like, hello, and she'll be like, girl. I'm like, oh no, oh no, 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 no. Here, because you're about to tell me something that I don't want to hear, and we probably talked about it before, and she's still in that life. So uh no, you dance to the ringtone.
Yeah.
Yeah. so so anyway, we all need to, we can't always be happy because of, like Big Ken said, some of the circumstances that are going on in your life. But the thing about it is, if you can find a piece or corner of happiness in what you are going through, it's okay. It's like all you need is just a mustard seed, and the size of a mustard seed, and you just start
Or
from there.
Applebee's.
Appleseed, yeah. You know what? That's gonna take them somewhere else they don't need to be. We're trying to, cause
Sometimes that does help your mood.
I
Just a
know, but
little sippy
Appleseed,
sip,
the Appleseed you talking about, it's
little
like
hard apple cider,
it
will
could
change
bring
your
them,
mind. It'll
it
make
could
you
bring them
happy.
down. No,
I
no,
mean,
don't listen to Ken, because it's gonna bring you down, and you gotta find your way back up. You're gonna have some more Appleseed, go down, and you ain't trying to do that. You're trying to do what Tori tells you to do, and that is to find a corner in your unhappiness to be happy. with no apple seed. Okay, it's
No, I
just
get it. Get back to the happy. That's what I
yeah,
subscribe to.
yep,
Even though you
get
go
back to
through
the
moments
happy.
in life, get back to the happy. Find a way back to the happy.
And the thing you can do before we let you go, the thing you can do, you can always send us a message on KUTC on Facebook, and we definitely will bring you some joy. Anyway,
Yeah,
remember you can catch KUTC Live right here on Facebook every Wednesday at 7 p.m. Or if you miss the show, you can visit blacklineentertainment.com. And every week I like to end the show on a positive quote or with a positive quote. And that quote today is: if you are not willing to learn, no one can help you. If you are determined to learn, no one can stop you. Until next time,
that's nice. And
you like
keep up
that?
the conversation.
Peace.
Peace.